way to Florida. He was now on the FBI's most wanted list, something he must have relished.
Loved it, loved it. I always said that infamy became Ted.
He changed his name, grew a beard, and spent his time walking the Florida State University campus in Tallahassee.
I think it was about January 8th when he rolled into town, determined, as he said in his confession, never to so much as jaywalk.
But he wouldn't keep that resolution. Sometime after midnight on January 15, 1978, just 2 weeks after his escape, Bundy entered the back door of the university's Chi Omega sorority house. As his victims slept, Ted Bundy crept from room to room. He bludgeoned, raped, and killed Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman. He assaulted and almost killed roommates Karen Chandler and Kathy Kleiner.
I think he went in that house to kill every single woman in it.
But Bundy wasn't finished. Less than a mile away, he broke into the apartment of Cheryl Thomas. Though he savagely beat her and left her to die, she survived. She was the 5th woman Bundy had attacked that night.
It's not something that's causing him guilt because he's free of that. He feels justified and entitled. After what women did to him, why shouldn't he do this to women?
3 weeks later, he would kill again. His victim was 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, an attractive and popular junior high school student. Kimberly was kidnapped, brutally assaulted, and killed. But Bundy's reign of terror was about to end. On February 15, 1978, a patrolman pulled over a VW Bug that had been reported stolen.
Ted tried to flee on foot. There was a struggle. There was actually a round fired, and the officer was able to bring Ted into custody.
Bundy was arrested and identified. Over the following months, investigators in Florida gathered evidence that tied Bundy to Kimberly Leach's murder and the murders and assaults at the sorority house. Though other states sought to extradite Bundy, his first trial would begin in Florida on July 7th, 1979.
You're going to represent yourself, or you're going to get another attorney?
I'm staying with the man I know best right now, and that's me.
Bundy acted as his own defense attorney in the Chi Omega murders.
He took depositions of witnesses. He filed his own motions, and I responded to those strictly on a professional basis.
But at one point, as he questioned an officer about one of the murder scenes, the jurors had a terrifying view of the real Ted Bundy.
He walked toward the jury, and you could see them kind of lean back in their chairs as he approached them. And he asked a few perfunctory questions of the officer, and then asked him to please state with great detail what you saw when you pulled back those sheets. And there was no human being in that building or watching the TV at that time that could have thought anything other than this man wanted to relive that event.
2 weeks later, Bundy was found guilty and sentenced to death for the murders of Lisa Levy and Margaret Bowman. In January 1980, Bundy went on trial for the murder of Kimberly Leach. Again, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. But his execution would not take place for some time. Over the next 9 years, Bundy would appeal his convictions and cheat death by a series of last-minute stays, sometimes only minutes before his sentence was to be carried out. Finally, after countless appeals, Bundy's date of execution was scheduled for January of 1989. To postpone his death, he told authorities that he would provide information on other unsolved cases linked to him.
He gives them just enough information to get their interest, to show them that he does, in fact, know what he's talking about. And then Bundy systematically tells these investigators, you need to get with your authorities and have them contact Florida authorities because I need more time to tell you this. This is all I can tell you today. And I need more time. If you can just get the Florida authorities to agree to more time, I can provide you with all of the details. It was a desperate ploy. It was a last-ditch effort, but even there, I think Bundy, up until the morning of his execution, Bundy really thought that he could postpone the inevitable.
But he couldn't. On January 24th, 1989, at the age of 41, Ted Bundy, the articulate, handsome boy next door, a man who had the capability of being virtually anything he wanted, but who instead chose to become a monster obsessed with murder, was executed in the electric chair.
The real question isn't how to remember Ted Bundy. The question is how to remember all those girls. You know, right at the prime of their lives. You know, all these kids were 19, 20 years old. They had the world by the tail. They had the future. And how many families were left in just total tragedy and disarray? And unfortunately, we remember Ted Bundy, and I'd much rather remember those girls.